Director of the Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center at the Consulate General of India, Durban, Dr. Chaitanya Prakash Yogi, Ms. Leander Reddy, Dr. Sheetal Bula, Mr. Sipiwe Mchunu, Mr. Piyush Khandelwal, and online viewers. Good evening and a very warm welcome to the 8th episode of Pravasi Samvad Diaspora Dialogue. Our guest speaker for today is Ms. Leander Reddy, who will be interviewed by Dr. Sheetal Bula. Dr. Bula is an academic and research scholar. She holds 2 master's degrees and a PhD in the social sciences and has a growing publication record. A little background on Ms. Leander Reddy. Leander Reddy is a multi-talented actress, producer, writer, and comedian from South Africa. She's a very popular actress who is known for her outstanding performance and acting in movies like The Dark Tower and Mr. Bones. She has also starred in TV serials like Isidingo, Scandal, and many more. I now invite Dr. Bula to conduct the interview.
Thank you. And Namaskar, a warm welcome to you. And thank you for being here today, Leandra. It means a lot to us and to the center, and I think more importantly to our viewers and what we want to achieve. You know, we want to showcase you, your journey, the work that goes into it, the lifestyle you've led. So by all means, if I can start. So
sure.
We know you, as a teenager, I recall watching Isidingo, switching it on. We knew you as Rajesh Kumar's wife. Casually, people in Durban that have seen your plays and arts as a young, growing teenager said how talented you were in your younger years. So where did it all begin for you? And if you've also got to share your perception of life in relevance to your acting, how would you describe that for us?
So where did it all begin? There are times when I feel like I started on a fantasy and I'm still in it. But yeah, it started from a very young age. And I think I knew that I had this creative spirit and creative energy. And I certainly indulged it in every environment, in every situation I could. I was a child performer for the family, for the neighbors, for the friends. So I think it kind of got, the flames got stoked from then on. Of course, I didn't have a chance to formally study speech and drama in school because it wasn't offered as part of the courses in high school, which was very disappointing for me because I loved performing so much, and I ended up pursuing a science course, and I regretted it a few years later when I got into acting because I thought, oh my God, I did all those difficult subjects and it hasn't helped me. But I soon after realized, no, actually it was so great, and it was part of my holistic journey. And it has helped me in life in general, in terms of awareness and knowledge. So now I no longer regret that, but I did get to study speech and drama formally at the University of Natal, now UKZN. And those were some of the best years of my life because I really felt like I absorbed so much and I got a chance to practice my skills, my innate talents through formal study, which enhanced it and helped me to develop into a confident performer. And then I must admit, I went with my heart. Like I knew when my parents told me, you've got to get a career where you're going to have stability, get a job and all of that. I knew the influences in the community, how Indians are, you have to have a serious job. And of course, for them, the doctor and lawyer route is the ultimate. And then there I was, this misfit and nonconformist who pursued acting and drama and performance. So definitely it was a case of going with my heart and following my instincts when I went to university, because I really didn't have a plan for afterwards. I knew that the industry was difficult and tough, but I went with that route because it made me happy and it made me feel fulfilled. And I felt like I was doing what I wanted to do in terms of studying. So when I got out of university, the opportunities were not a lot. I went for auditions. I had other part-time jobs to keep me going until I got roles. And then I think I've just been blessed since then. I stayed in Durban for a few years where I did mostly theatre because television wasn't really, it didn't feature in Durban. I got to do TV through Johannesburg. Obviously, a crew would come down, or we'd use a local crew, a Durban crew, and then, you know, the work was brought here for post-production. But mostly theatre. And then I moved to Johannesburg in 2004, which was really great for me in terms of my acting career, because I got an agent. I went for all the auditions. I got some great roles, and I managed to sustain myself for a good long while, doing the things I love. And what was the second part of your question?
If you've got to just describe what life is perceived to you, you know, your lens of life. So you talk about the fulfillment career. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, being an actress, choosing to be an actress, let me say that, because it is a very conscious choice, and you're aware of the difficulties and the pitfalls and the challenges. So you really have to have a strength of character, I believe, to commit to it and to see it through. But I have to say, it has given me so much joy, and there's so many highlights in my life that I can say I got from following this dream of mine, from being this artist and being a performer. And you know, validation is so important, right? And I got it in so many forms, in terms of performing in front of a live audience and having them respond in the moment, live, you know, and their reactions and their emotions to you. And oh my God, that is so fulfilling, because it makes you feel so valued that you are able to bring this entertainment and evoke those kind of responses and feelings. And that's huge, you know. And then, of course, there are accolades and acknowledgements from industry, from television work, from film work, and feedback from people or fans. And it's all really lovely, because just to be validated and acknowledged is a good feeling. But more than that, the personal fulfillment for me has been a huge factor as well. And that can happen moments that I've experienced in my life that were so deeply personal and solely fulfilling that it didn't need anyone else to kind of confirm it, you know, that high that you get when you've given a performance or you feel good about what you've done. And that only you can experience. And I'm so grateful to have got that. Apart from that, what I loved about being a performer is the variety and the diversity, because no 2 days are the same, no 2 projects are the same, no 2 experiences. And that kind of diversity and variety has really given me so many highs in my life, because I always think like I could never do the office job. I mean, I have done it. I've done a lot. I've done a variety of things because I've had part-time jobs while I was studying. So I've been in many different sectors and industries, and it's all helped in terms of the, you know, the like the whole experience. And it's also given me tools and resources. So I can't just say my entire career has been performing. I've had so many other jobs that have allowed me to venture into other industries and other sectors and see what's happening there, and kind of use um, skills that I've gained from those experiences to also enhance my performance career.
And of course, I would say personal growth as well. And not, being able to be in so many spaces also makes it very easy for one to relate to other people as well and to relate yourself. I mean, acting is also about totally immersion. I mean, from what I perceive it to be, one role into another, adopting a role, adopting an identity, adopting a space, the complete personality, the character. And obviously, with all of those variances in your life, there must be a lot of personal strength. So, what has been your go-to when you've had adversities, when you've had difficulties, when things were challenging for you? How did you cope?
So I'm glad you asked that, because I certainly don't want to romanticize this career. And I'm like, I'll use myself as an example. When I was a student, when I was at university, I was so, despite knowing that there were going to be challenges, I was very idealistic. I think everyone has that dream at some stage of seeing your name up there and delivering your Oscar speech, those kind of big dreams that we practice in our showers. But so I was very idealistic, and experiences and circumstances have allowed me to be more pragmatic about my approach and my career. And the difficulties have been so many, the adversities have been so many. And you don't know how you're going to respond until you find yourself in the situation. And what it's done for me is that, I don't like dwelling on it for too long. So if I'm in a negative space or I'm feeling down about it, I want to solve it. I have this desire to resolve it, to find the resources or the help or the tools to move past it. And otherwise, I would get stuck in a pity party, and I don't want that, because I know how brutal this industry is, and you can't allow it to break you. So what I do, if I find myself in a difficult situation or adversities, is firstly, I'm not afraid to ask for help, and I will seek help from people that I trust. Sometimes I've asked advice from the wrong people, and I've learned lessons from that, but I will ask for help. And then if I find I cannot get the help, and I feel like I can't control the situation or I cannot solve it, I tend to remove myself from the situation and redirect. Or either I will adapt if it is manageable, adapt to the situation, because in most cases performance is largely a team effort. It's a collective effort. So all I can do is to bring my individual brilliance or my value into it, and share it as part of the team, and be fully cognizant of the fact that the end product is collective. But if I find myself in a toxic situation or an oppressive situation, and I know that I can't resolve it, I will remove myself and redirect to something else. So that for me is rising above it and trying to find something else that is going to fulfill me.
No, absolutely. And I mean, we each of us have got different challenges in our life, and I think also the mere fact that we consider you as a role model within our diaspora is commendable. And you're being open and honest. You know what? There are people, we have a community, you do ask for help, and we're all human at the end of the day. And we talk about the influence of people in our lives, and you touched on it a bit now in terms of who you've been to trust. Tell us a bit about the role that your families and friends play in your life.
Family is extremely important to me, and not just my immediate family with my kids, but my extended family, my siblings, my parents. Well, my dad is late, and we had an extremely close bond. So I grew up in an environment where family was very important and we had a bond. But I mean, I have that bond with my family because they add value to my life, and we have our ups and downs, we have our challenges and disagreements, but I know that they are a strong support system for me because they have been since the time I was young. And secondly, they are my kin. I relate to them so much easier. I'm familiar, the most familiar with them. Let me say that, because, you know, we lived together for many years. We still stay in touch. All my siblings are in Johannesburg, and we're very connected. We don't see each other as often as we'd like to. And obviously this pandemic has just been a total spanner in the works, which has kept us so distant from each other. But we are very closely connected, and I know I can lean on them for certain things. When it comes to friends, I have a few very close friends. I have a small circle of very close friends, which has gotten smaller over the years, but I am fussy about friends. And I'll tell you why. It's because when I have relationships, I invest in them a lot. And I don't, I don't mean financially, of course, but I mean emotionally and personally. And I am very, very, how can I say, I love sincerity in relationships, whether it's family or friends.
It's scarce today, you know, it's scarce. Sincerity, it takes years of a connectivity and a friendship and love and care that, you know, to cultivate.
Absolutely. And it's got to be reciprocal, you know, right? Yes. I think that's so critical. And I think it's okay to change our minds about relationships and people when we feel there's a disconnect, or you are not meeting me where I am meeting you. And that's part of life and growing up. And also at the end of the day, you know, sometimes we do so much to please others and we forget to please ourselves. And I think that's so critical. And that has come into sharp focus for me over this pandemic, especially. And I think that if a relationship is making you more unhappy than it's making you happy, then something's wrong there and it's got to change. And that's part of life. You know, not everybody's going to love you. And likewise, you're not going to love everybody. And that's okay. But when you do love, for me, when I love hard. So, yeah.
But I think, you know, any of us that have come from a Indian and a broad community type of background, where the values are extend beyond the nuclear family, where we've raised to believe that even the extended family matters, and it doesn't matter sometimes if these relationships are a little bit toxic and unhealthy, but because they are family and because they're your elders and whatever, eventually, you know, for us to come out of that socialization is a process, and it's a learning process.
Absolutely.
You touched on the nerve there, and I think a lot of families have that sort of life where family is not just your nuclear family and a few friends, it's the entire community or the entire neighborhood, for instance. I've obviously had to make those decisions and realize and sit down and think during the pandemic. So yes, you know, and the other reality is that I think the global pandemic has also imposed adversity on a lot of people across spectrum. So with adversity, you're going to question relationships, lifestyle, the value people bring to your life, you know, the sincerity, the genuine care. And we talk about, so we understand now family is very important to you. What are your other top values in your life?
top values. What appeals to me about other people, I think can be an indication of the values that are important to me, which is, like I've mentioned, sincerity. Sincerity in relationships, in communications, integrity, I think I hold quite dear to me. And people who are real and genuine. You know, I try to be in all my interactions. Of course, there are situations where you can't be brutally honest. So I think tact and diplomacy comes into it. And another value that's, another two values that are very important to me are respect and mutual respect. Because I think respect is earned, but so is disrespect. So I think mutual respect is important, and professionalism, especially in a working environment. You know, to be professional and also to be present. I try to do that in most of my working experiences, or life in general, just to be kind of present in the moment and to accept that you cannot control everything. Well, the pandemic has shown us that we certainly can't control next week or next month, you know, so to be able to acknowledge that, and it's difficult because I know I do have some control issues, because if I have a vision for something, I very much want it to be realized in that way. But the realization that you can't control everything, and sometimes you have to surrender to it. So the best you can do is be present in the moment. Yeah, and what you're doing, and be honest in what you give.
No, absolutely. And if we look at your Indian heritage, our culture, let's look at the influence that it's brought to your life, or the value it's brought to your life, rather. And how do you relate to your Indian authentic identity, for instance, your Indian roots, or your upbringing, or your heritage for that?
I think I love the Indian culture. Obviously, I didn't have a choice. I was born in. Yeah, but it's a beautiful heritage. So here was me as a baby going, "Oh, what am I? Indian? Okay, cool. What fun things do you have going on in your culture? Oh, I like that." No, there's so many beautiful aspects of the Indian culture, and there are also some negative aspects. You know, generally Indians are quite a conservative community, and of course the patriarchy is strong. So I found myself selecting what I like about my culture, and not allowing anyone to impose things on me. And I was very fortunate because of my parents, and my father, I think especially, was very liberated in his thinking, and he was very self-taught and read a lot. So he knew so much about the world at large and all aspects of culture. And so I felt like that was kind of an open-minded environment. So yes, we grew up in an Indian community with very strong Indian influences, but I felt like I had the freedom to not be restricted in terms of how I integrated my culture into my identity. And I really, really love the cultural aspects of being Indian. But like I said, I'm selective. If something doesn't feel like it aligns with me and my personality and my identity, then I will reject it. You know, and I sometimes have a big mouth and I call out things. So I'm not the best person to have in the family discussions. But by the same token, like you said, we're very, very aware of the community and family aspect that comes with growing up as an Indian and being Indian. And there's a lot of respect. And I think, you know, we, even with our extended families, we might not agree with everything, but we're, I think, educated enough to know when to be diplomatic and tactful, and when, you know, something is unacceptable or intolerable, and you can say it. So yeah, so I would say my heritage has a huge influence on my life and a big impact. And I'm extremely Indian in the things I like, which aligns with some stereotypes. But I also, I'm very aware of being boxed and stereotyped, and I will fight against that if it's not who I am.
And how did you feel about, if you look at the roles you've played? I mean, we started off with Isidingo, you were the Indian wife, Priya, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at being an actress and then carrying the Indian identity on screen, is there anything that you can share with us there? How did it feel, or was it natural to you? Or did you actually feel you were compelled to represent this particular race group in the South African media? How did you feel?
Okay, so firstly, I think representation is critical,
Yes.
especially in a country like South Africa,
Right.
that has such a horrific past, that has bred generations who are carrying baggage from, you know, past injustices. So we need to see ourselves. I, as a child, got really excited when I saw an Indian person presenting sport, or, you know, being a specialist in some field, or being a great singer or a great dancer, a great musician. That gave me, it does for every child, right? If you see yourself or a representation of yourself.
It's inspiration, yes.
It is inspiration. But I have never consciously wanted to be a role model or a representative of a group, because I mean, honestly, we're not homogenous, you know. So I have, I think, a unique identity influenced by all of these factors. I am an Indian. I am excited to be on screen, firstly, just to get a role, as coming from a small minority group, because the tendency obviously is to be proportionally representative of the population, and which means that there's less roles for Indians. So I knew that I needed to excel in order to be seen, in order to be recognized, and but not so much to prove to other people, but, you know, to prove to myself that I am capable and I deserve that space and I deserve to be there because I am good at what I do. I think I've been quite fortunate with roles, or not just fortunate, but selective. So if I think a role is boxing me in, or making me play to a limited stereotype, I won't take the role. With Isidingo, I loved being on Isidingo because I wasn't a stereotypical character. I was a flippant cop. I was a badass cop. that's one thing. But then there were the cultural aspects, which also appeal to people. And the aunties and the uncles and the grannies, they all loved it. They wanted to see this beautiful romance with Rajesh and Priya, and it was painful because they kept giving us problems. They just never wanted us to be happy. But Rajesh and Priya were definitely iconic as characters on Isidingo, and I think the Indian community loved that so much, and they never wasted a chance to tell us. So, well, I know Jack has experienced it, and I certainly have. People still call me Priya. People still ask me about Rajesh. I answer to Priya more than I do Leander.
Oh, wow.
I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
So that was a beautiful aspect. And I think, what I love about that is that the kind of solidarity and excitement. And it felt like every time people went on about Priya on Isidingo, it was like it was like a fantasy that they had, and there it was on screen. And I really wanted to do well in that role because I realized it was almost groundbreaking, because even though we had Indian performers before us, but on a television show like this, and Isidingo appealed to across groups, to everybody. It was a great show. It had a very different natural style of acting, and for us to be so prominent in that, and to have such a prominent Indian storyline, or rather prominent storylines around Indian characters, was it was a big deal. It certainly was a big deal, and I think so the roles that I have done, if I had to look back, I think almost 90% of them were not like stereotyping or defining an Indian woman as that. Of course, there are so many more stories to be told and so many more fascinating roles for Indian women, because we are so complex and nuanced and multi-dimensional, and I would love to see more of that kind of stuff. So, and with that, I've done a lot of theater, and in that sense, I have more autonomy in terms of defining characters. So I will do the archetypal characters, and I will also create characters that are unique and diverse.
And going forward, what would you like to achieve? Where do you see yourself a decade from now? What are your hopes or aspirations?
For a long time, I was caught up in a cycle of highs. So I'd have a gig and then I'd think about the next gig. And in retrospect, it was quite short-sighted. But I think also it's the nature of the industry. As actors, as artists in South Africa, we don't have stability. It's the one industry where nothing's guaranteed. You've got a job today doesn't mean you're going to have it tomorrow. You have no benefits, nothing. You can't amass a fortune. Well, maybe others have, not me. But so I think now, and especially that this pandemic has happened, and it has been difficult for me because I wasn't able to do the things I usually do to sustain myself financially, or career-wise. I think so many actors have been kind of in limbo or on a roller coaster during this period, because you never know when things are going to get cancelled, or there's going to be COVID on set and those kind of things. So I had a lot of time to reflect and to think about the things I want to do. And honestly, right now, the way I'm feeling, I'm actually buzzing thinking about the things I want to do. And there's so much more. And I feel like I'm so much more in touch with myself. I've been able to tell myself I want more, I deserve more, I'm worthy of more, and I am capable of creating this for myself. So I've thought of so many things that I'd like to pursue. I don't generally don't want to claim it until it's done and I've got there. So I won't give you too much detail about it, but I want to diversify more, and I want to do a lot of things that I've kind of put on the shelf because I was caught up, like I was saying, in the cycle of, the next gig and the next, and so there are already some things I've put into place that I'm planning to pursue, which will be quite different from what I have been doing. I never want to lose the performance aspect of my life because it's a part of who I am, and I come alive when I'm performing. I love it. I'm happy. So importantly, whatever plans I'm putting into place now, I want to be financially rewarding firstly, not firstly, but one of the aspects of it, but also, yes, importantly, the pursuit of happiness. I want to be happy in what I do. So anything that I plan going forward is going to give me that kind of fulfillment so that I don't find, and stability.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. For the aspiring young actors, actresses out there, what advice do you have for them?
I would say,
within the South African context and, exactly where we are now, the challenges you've had. So,
yes. I think what I kind of admire in people is authenticity. And I always notice people who are authentic. They always stand out for me. Authentic and eager to learn.
Yes.
And I can tell you right now that I have had lots of experience in theatre, in television, in film, in emceeing, in conferences, working in corporate, traveling.
I remember coming to see you when you came to Durban, Comedy Queen as well.
Yes, our live shows. Oh, I love being on stage doing comedy performance. So I've had all of that experience, but I can tell you now, I never feel like I know enough. I always feel like there's more I need to learn and more skills I need to get. And I'm so curious. And what intimidates me the most is not knowing something. So if I'm in an environment and I want to add value, but if I don't know something, it does intimidate me. So I will go and find out about it and I will try to learn. And I think that's so critical, to never, ever feel like you know it all or you know enough, to always be open to learning and bettering yourself. And I've tried to do that. I should have done more, but it's never too late. You never stop learning or growing. And in this industry in particular, I can't imagine that you can find yourself at a place where you've reached peak or optimum, or you've achieved success. You're still, I think of myself as a work in progress, and I feel like I'm getting better at each thing. And I want more resources and more tools and to be able to learn. Of course, to study is a luxury now. It means you're not working, or you are, and it's a sacrifice because you've got to compromise on things. But to be able to just take courses and learn skills is something I do want to put into my plan going forward, because I want to learn more and I want to inform myself about things that I'm not aware of. So I feel solid and confident, in whatever I do.
No, wonderful. And I think with that imparting message, we're going to thank you with a lot of grace, and thank you so much for your time. And thank you for being so open with us. And we learned so much about you, your perceptions, your where you've been, what your values are. And I think more importantly, we've got to see who you are. We don't want to see Priya, we wanted to see Leander. So much for that.
Thank you so much. I would love to meet you in person one day. So when I'm coming to Durban, it's been lovely chatting to you. Thank you so much.
And thank you so much on behalf of the center to agree to do this interview. You know, more importantly, it's going to be accessible to all the youth and everybody else out there that wants to Google you and, you know, understand what acting is about. What does it involve? What levels of commitment, which it's come across so strongly in your discussion when we spoke about life and your initial experiences. And of course, I think as well, the importance of having multiple skills just to even survive as an actress.
Yes.
Context. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dr. Bula and Leander Ji, for that enlightening interaction. It was indeed an honor to have you with us this evening. We have now come to the end of the program. I would like to invite my colleague, Mr. Sipiwe Mchunu from the Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center at the Consulate General of India, Durban, to render the vote of thanks this evening.
Thank you very much to our two wonderful ladies. Thank you very much to Dr. Sheetal Bula Ji. Dhanyavad ma'am, to Leander Govender Reddy Ji. Dhanyavad ma'am, thank you very much. You know, to listen to both of you, it was a blessing. You know, I was just listening, I was saying, wow, wow, all the way till the end. You know, the passion,
wow.
the way you're narrating your story, and we have hope. You know, there are no easy journey in this world, because when we see you on television, it's like, oh, they are living free life. But now we understand. So
now you know the reality.
Now I know. It takes hard work to prosper in life. So to
and commitment.
And commitment. Thank you very much for reviving us. You know, so now we have come to the end of our program. On behalf of Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center at the Consulate General of India in Durban, I am so honored today to deliver a vote of thanks on our 8th episode of the program, Pravasi Samvad Diaspora Dialogue. Allow me to thank our online guest, Dr. Sheetal Bula Ji, an academic and a researcher, and also Miss Leander Reddy, and South African actress. You know, as I said earlier on, this is I can do for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
It was so much interesting, ma'am. Thank you very much to Dr.
That makes me so happy. Thank you.
Thank you to Dr. Sheetal Bula Ji also. Thank you very much, ma'am, for conducting such a wonderful, informative interaction. So to both of you, thank you.
Thanks.
To Director of the Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center, Dr. Chaitanya Prakash Yogi, Miss Asya Nabi, Sri Piyush Kandelwal, thank you for taking part on today's program. To all our online participants, we'd like to say thank you for being with us. For more information on SVCC cultural activities, please visit ICCR in Durban Facebook page. So once again, to Dr. Sheetal Bula Ji, Dhanyavad ma'am, to Leander Reddy, Dhanyavad ma'am, to all of you, have a wonderful evening. Namaskar.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.